Wow, we're live. Okay. Hey everybody. Oh god, I just got so nervous. Why do I always get nervous with these? So this is our live to celebrate hitting 1,000 subscribers on my YouTube channel. If you're new, it's dedicated to documenting my journey to lose over 150 pounds naturally through diet and exercise, as well as get healthy mentally and physically. And we're going to talk about that all today. I have a few questions from the announcement video advising of this live stream, and we're going to answer those questions. I'm also going to explain to you guys what I did when I lost 120 pounds years ago. I just hit a decade actually. But I've actually never sat down and told you guys exactly what I do. So I'm going to meal prep my breakfast for next week while we talk. And then probably once it goes in the oven, not sure how many people will come onto this, but if we don't have too much traffic, then once it goes in the oven, we'll probably wrap it up. So, and if you're watching the rerun of this, thank you for coming to check out today's video, and I hope you enjoyed it and consider subscribing. All right, I'm going to try not to be so nervous because apparently I do that. So first, let me go over what I'm going to make. So I love these Tupperware. It's just glass Tupperware. I think a pack of 10 was $40 on Amazon. They're bake safe, microwave safe, oven safe, obviously, freezer safe, refrigerator safe, airtight, leak proof. I love these things. I'm gonna bake breakfast scrambles in here versus making it in a big pan and having to cut it up. So I'm gonna first get the meat started. I'm gonna cut up a pack of bacon. So a trick to cutting up, if you have to cut up bacon, is freeze it for an hour before you actually have to cut it. Like before you have to start cooking, it makes the fat solidify a little bit and it makes it a lot easier to cut. So let's see. I do have some notes because I knew I'd be scatterbrained. Not 1 second. We're live again, huh? I have to say, it's so weird to be doing this live because normally I can be like, okay, don't forget to cut that part out, but relax. So let's see, what did I want to start with? Ooh, how I became a food addict. So if you're not familiar with my channel, I am on a journey from 320, ideally down to 160-ish, I'm thinking. But I'm down to I'm up. I'm interested to see once I get about 170, I'd like to see how much more I'd like to lose. But ideally that's like our first deadline and then we'll reassess around then. So that's over 150 pounds. I have struggled with weight since I was 7 years old. That's actually when I became a food addict. I was actually underweight before that. So when I was 7, I had a traumatic experience. We won't go into it because that's not what this video is about. But yeah, I had a traumatic experience, and I had traumatic experiences before that, but this was earth-shattering trauma. Like legitimate PTSD episodes into my 20s trauma. So one day, and I'll never forget this, I remember the second I became a food addict, I felt like I had to become a protector. And my mom was asleep, and I was obviously just traumatized from what we had experienced. And I wanted comfort, but I was hungry, but she was sleeping. She was recovering from something. And I got up, I went in the pantry, and I got a Pop-Tart. And I'll never forget, I had that Pop-Tart, and it's like my mind was able to focus on something other than what it was focusing on. Like my mind was no longer thinking about, it wasn't replaying in my memory anymore. My mind was able to hyperfixate on the enjoyment of the food item. And from then on, anytime I became uncomfortable or I was dealing with something, whether from my past or from present, or I was just in a state that I didn't want to be in, especially if it's something that I was feeling unsafe, either emotionally or literally, I would turn to food. And I wasn't aware of this until I grew up. I actually didn't even realize that that was the moment it started until I was thinking about it not too long ago, trying to explain to my friend um, why, like, my 600-pound life happens. It's because you become a food addict as a response to trauma. When you eat something, it becomes a safe space, and it can get so extreme that it's like it's not just the consumption of the food, it's the buildup, knowing that you're going to eat it. It's similar to substance abusers. Like, it's a very similar sensation, but it's a legal substance that you can technically have unlimitedly. So that was when I became a food addict. Before I graduated elementary school, I believe I was over 200 pounds. I think I had hit 200 pounds like the week I finished fifth grade. So, um, yeah, and my addiction just, I was finally diagnosed as a food addict when I was 12. Go figure. And that was the first time I heard about it. Like, my doctor literally like found me Food Addicts Anonymous meetings. Um, we never ended up going, but yeah, that was my first time learning that that was a term. So my obesity is tied to obviously food addiction, um, poor mental health, toxic coping mechanisms, alcoholism over the years, etc. But I have successfully lost over 120 pounds in 10 months back in 2020. I'm sorry, 2013 to 2014. And I got to 202. And I was so excited that I almost met my goal of 200 pounds by my 21st birthday that I ate carbs and just never stopped after that. So, let me see what else I wanted to talk about. Oh, so actually, I think I'm gonna say food noise to the end because it has to do more with what is going on nowadays. So over the years, I've dieted nonstop. Like, my mom taught me how to diet at 8 years old. Not because she was toxic, but because I was morbidly freaking obese at 8 years old. Um, and I would sneak. And the thing is, like, my mom didn't let me get obese. I would sneak and climb in the counters and the cabinets while she slept um, to get. I mean, I'd make whole, like, I'd make a cup of that. This is ridiculous. Sorry, y'all. Hang on. Where are you? There you are. Sorry, that was Amazon calling to have me buzz him in the gate. I'm actually glad he texted me because I need that super quick mom. Um, so anyway, I learned how to diet at 8. Um, and again, my mom didn't let me get gain weight. I would sneak. I started learning how to cook at 5 years old. So I started sneaking food in the middle of the night, and when she'd be sleeping, one of my favorite things to do was to just mix peanut butter and sugar. And I remember thinking, oh my God, I could be a pastry chef. Um, And I'm not gonna lie, it was delicious. I think it would make a great filling to something, and it's probably a filling to many things, including Reese's Pieces. But yeah, like, it's just how I was. She had Betty Crocker books and those um, file folders of recipes, and I would just go through them and make stuff. I remember there was one time, I think almost every day, I made a batch of snickerdoodle cookies, and the only way I ended up stopping doing that is because I actually mixed up a teaspoon and a tablespoon when it came to the baking soda, or did I mix up baking soda and baking powder? Anyway, I ended up putting in way too much baking soda, and it was just a donezo after that. And I don't know if I've made a snickerdoodle since, actually. Let me wash my hands. If you're someone that cooks and you have nails, keep a nail brush at your sink. Okay, so yeah, anyway, I learned how to diet at 8. I remember I used to love doing jumping jacks. My mom taught me how to do military push ups, like the perfect form, all the way down until your nose touches the ground. And I would do those, and my goal was to see if I could do 100 in a day. I think the highest I ever got was 50. I would do jumping jacks, and I wanted to see if I could do 100 jumping jacks. I think I got to almost 90. Um, but like I used to enjoy very physically exerting things, even though we were always in the house. So that on top of when I wanted a snack, I started eating celery because my mom told me that it burns more calories to ingest celery than it does to actually that it actually has. I mean, and of course, none of that stuff ever worked because, mind you, I was also in therapy at 8. Wow, I'm really just trauma dumping right now. Anyway, so none of that ever ended up working. I tried calories, didn't work. I tried doing the healthy TV dinners, didn't work. I am a large volume eater. I've struggled with binge eating addiction since my food addiction started, or binge eating disorder since my food addiction started. And it only got worse when I was in my late teens. I smoked cigarettes. I really underestimated how bad my asthma was, and they always put me on prednisone. And because I was always on prednisone, I ended up gaining a ton of weight. And one side effect of that is extreme hunger. So for me, my hunger would be to the point where I would be ravenous. I would eat until I threw up, and as I was throwing up, I wanted to eat more. Like they had me on such high doses of that medicine, and that's where my weight really ballooned. Into middle school, I think I capped out at 270, and then I started walking a lot between the summer between eighth and ninth grade. I dropped like 40 or 50 pounds. Um, and then by the time I was 2019, and was super heavily on the prescribed steroids for my asthma, I ballooned up to, oh, I think the last time I stepped on the scale, I think it said about 327. Um, and that was the last time I stepped on the scale for months before I started my weight loss journey. So what finally worked was I read a book, and I was already trying to walk. I could not move. I mean, I couldn't walk. I could barely walk from our apartment, maybe half a football field's distance to the end of our driveway, um, without being in extreme pain or my asthma flaring. So each day I would start, just trying to get farther across the parking lot. And we lived in Walnut Creek. There's a trail near the street that I grew up on. And so I would, okay, once I was able to get to the driveway, I'd walk to the end of the trail, which was 2 driveways over. And then I'd slowly try to make it to the end of the alley. And then it just kept growing and growing. I started to like walking, and I started discovering that sense of accomplishment and pride and excitement. So I started doing the walking a lot. And then I started walking downtown a lot more. Walnut Creek in California is a very like, you walk around downtown, and back then we had Barnes and Noble. So my friends and I would walk to Barnes and Noble, or we'd catch the free bus down to Barnes and Noble and walk around downtown. And I can never remember the name of this book. So if anybody knows what book I'm talking about, please put it in the comments, because I would love to read it again, and I would love to share that book with more people, because honestly, it changed my life. I read this book, and I remember it was yellow. I don't remember what the title was, but it has to do, I know it would have had to do with something about losing weight and getting healthy. And it was a book, it was written by a man, and he was talking about how. Hold on, let me get a bowl. He was talking about how he had been obese his whole life, right? He grew up on Nutter Butters. He grew up on not Nutter Butters, Fluffer Nutters, which is like the sandwich with peanut butter and marshmallow fluff. He talked about all his health issues, and then he talked about how he learned somehow, I can't remember because it's been 13 years since I read the book, about how he cut out carbs. And he started, this is back before the keto diet was like called the keto diet or was popularized. This is like back when, I mean, social media was a thing, but it was nothing like it is now. So even if keto was known by people, it wasn't like everywhere, and it wasn't a term that you know like it is now. So he just basically explained all the foods that have high carbs, just stop eating them. Just stop eating them. Don't go too crazy on the fats, but you also don't have to do low fat. So I went home that night. I actually read the whole book, and I'm not a big reader. I went home that night. By the way, this is a pound of bacon, and then we're going to do all 17 of these eggs, I guess. And then I have some egg whites, too, that I need to use up. So, what was I saying? Ooh, ADHD is terrible. Oh, I went home. I told my mom about it. And I started throwing away all the carby food items. And I mean, we weren't made of money, so it's not like we had a fully stocked kitchen. But, I'd set some of the things she wanted to keep because she was going to eat them, like canned corn. I was like, okay, then I'll put it in a different section so you can have it because I'm not eating anymore. And I just stopped. I stopped eating carbs. This is back, I think, I don't know if a calorie counting app was around back then. It might have been like in testing. Where are these gnats coming from? Oh, you know what? I have a hole in my screen. That's going to drive me nuts. So I had a little notebook that I would just keep on me, and I would write down how many carbs each thing that I ate would have had. These eggs look funny, but they don't smell funny. If I die, y'all have video footage as for. So I would just keep track. I didn't worry too much about calories. I think I did. Obviously, I was trying to stay under 2,000. That's for sure. I probably wanted to stay around 1,600 maybe. But I was not like calorie focused. But over time, I mean, I started losing weight like it was nothing when I cut the carbs out, and I was walking, and I started feeling so good. I just kept doing it, and then I got 2 jobs. And I was constantly working. I only had a 10-minute break on each job because they were technically 2 part-time jobs. And then I had a 10-minute commute or about 20-minute commute because it was commute hour between the 2 jobs. And that was my only other break for the day. And they were both restaurants. One of them was a salad place. And the other one was a Mongolian barbecue restaurant. So on my break at the salad place, I'd make a big salad. I wouldn't put anything carby in it. And then at the Mongolian barbecue place, I would do just meat and vegetables when I did eat there. It just depends on what job was in the morning. But besides that, at home, I'll never forget the diet that I was eating specifically every single day. One second. I ate every single morning. I had 2 whole eggs with an extra egg white. I had a half a cup of cottage cheese. I think it was probably 2%. And then I'd have a salad. I love power greens. It's just a blend. It's baby chard, baby kale, and baby spinach. That was my favorite because I was like, you know what? So this is half a tub of 1% fat cottage cheese. I'm really just using up what I have in my fridge. FYI. And that was 17 eggs. I love power greens. And if I ever see it on a menu or at a store, if I'm getting stuff to make salads for myself, I will get it. At one point, I did switch to just kale, and I learned very quickly you should not have a cup of kale at every meal for dietary reasons. I'm sure you can imagine. Um, what am I doing? So, yeah, the eggs, the cottage cheese. Sometimes I might have a little bit of sausage, um, or maybe a little bit of bacon, but it was every single day I knew for a fact I was having 2 eggs, 1 egg white, half a cup of cottage cheese, and a salad with I'm sorry, did I say half a cup of greens? It was like at least a cup of greens. I just grabbed a big old handful, put it on the plate. And then I would do just like Italian or balsamic, ouch, vinaigrette dressing. Lord have mercy. And then towards the end, I was really trying to like push. So I just started doing actually lemon juice, salt, and pepper on my salad. Um, just because I was trying to break a plateau. What am I going to do with this? But yeah, and that's what I ate. And then for every meal, I'd have protein. I used to meal prep these snack packs, which now that I'm older, I realize it's really more of a meal. But it was just like for me to have in case I got hungry. It was always a boiled egg. And I'd go to the grocery store and get this pack of small chicken breasts. Like they were just, I mean, they're probably just not as inflated chicken breasts, but they were boneless, skinless. And I would bake them with like garlic, salt, pepper, and just a little bit of olive oil, and slice them up. I'm gonna do a pound of this 90-10 ground beef. I it was only $5 at Walmart, so I got all 3 of them that they had because I figured that way I don't have to feel so bad about leaving the baking grease in this breakfast. So anyway, my lunches would usually be if I was at Mongolian barbecue working, it was probably just gonna be meat and oh, I'm sorry, in the snack packs, it was boiled egg, string cheese, cucumber, celery, carrots, and chicken breast. And I'd eat that every day. It got to a point where I would chew and spit. Um, towards the end of it, I was getting closer to my goal, so I was obviously testing my leniency with myself, and I was doing this chew and spit where, like, if someone brought in a brownie, I'd take a bite, I'd chew it until I was satisfied, and I'd spit it out. I wouldn't swallow it, and then I'd go brush my teeth. And that at that point, it goes from a diet or a lifestyle change to treading on eating disorder because that's just not healthy. You know what I mean? Um, so um, my lunches would be either a salad at my salad job or the just meat and veggies at Mongolian barbecue with no teriyaki sauce. And then my dinners, if I had a salad, if I ate lunch at home, I would have. I'm trying to see how much if I even need the egg white. You think I did? Yeah. Y'all, I'm so weary about like dairy and eggs. So, anyway, if I made my lunches at home, it was usually either going to be leftover protein, either chicken breast, chicken thighs, whatever was on sale, because I lived on my own and I was 20, I think, at that point. Yeah, it was before my 21st birthday. And I'd make a big old salad. I love salad. I mean, yeah, I'm big, but and I've had eating disorders, and I also love the idea of a pizza wrapped burger and bacon out of a bowl. But I do love salad. I do love my vegetables. Hold on. Mm, mm. I don't know what I want to use. Oh, let's use this. This will be fine. So, um, those are my lunches and then my dinners. I always ate at home because I worked at restaurants that were either at the mall or a strip mall. So I'd go home and I'd either have meat meal prepped or I'd, again, do a meat cottage cheese and a salad. Most of my meals when I lost 120 pounds was were cottage cheese, a salad with some type of protein. And I'm not sure if I didn't get fatigued of it that bad because I was seeing such results for the first time in my life that I just didn't mentally think of it. That is a lot of fat. Wow. Or if I just really could eat it every single day. And it is something that to this day I miss those meals. I would love to be able to do, a salad with cottage cheese and eggs for breakfast again, but I'm trying to do more of an animal based. But I think we should normalize salads with breakfast. So, um, one second, I'm trying to get this meat cooked. I'm gonna have to drain that. It's okay though. So, yeah, it took about 10 months for me to lose the weight. 10. I started mid October, and I think in mid October, I didn't weigh myself the first couple weeks. The highest weight I had been was about 4 or 5 months before, and I was 327. And I'm sure I gained more weight after that. So I don't know how high I was. That's why I always say I lost at least 120 pounds. Um, and I don't remember what my first weight was after a couple weeks of doing it. But I know I was losing about 10 pounds a week that first like month. I really was dropping. No, I'm sorry, like the first 3 weeks, I was losing about 10 pounds a week. So by the time my birthday came in July, I was 202 or 205. So I had lost well over 120 pounds in 10 months at that point. And I had carbs for my birthday and I just never stopped. So that's why now I'm trying to approach things from animal based. If you're new, animal based to me means, how everybody always says like it's the 80-20 rule, right? And as long as you stick to it 80% of the time, you're good. Well, I was like, why not just apply that as the rule? I wanted to do carnivore, but I like seasonings. I love vegetables. Like, I honestly love a vegan sandwich. I also love steak. I would choose steak over a salad. But sometimes I wouldn't. You know what I mean? I like butter. I like cheese. Um, I do like carnivore, but I also like vegetables. And I'm someone that gives in to temptation when things are in front of me. I'm just gonna eat all this bacon. Um, so I really have to. I really wanted to think about what's going to allow me to feel in control. And I was like, well, what if 80% of the time, not 80% of the time, at least 80% of my daily food consumption, what if it's carnivore, right? What if I have a 20% max wiggle room? It doesn't mean I have to eat 20% of my day from carbs or vegetables or things that don't come from an animal, but that leaves that wiggle room. Um, and honestly, I don't have food noise. That's something I wanted to talk about tonight is I don't really have food noise. Hey, sorry, my paper was blocking the comments. Hey, hon. I went over what my where my food addiction came from. I've really been rambling. Long stories, but essentially where my food addiction came from, and then now we're talking about how I lost 120 pounds. Essentially, I read a book and it said he basically taught like to cut out carbs. So I tried the cutting out carbs and it started working so fast I stuck with it. My breakfasts were eggs, cottage cheese, and then power green salads with a light vinaigrette. And then my lunches were either salad or meat and veggies from one of my jobs. And then my dinners were meat, cottage cheese, and salad. Um, but yeah, I mean that's pretty it. I'm been wordy. We're making my breakfast meal prep for the week as well, by the way. And welcome. Thank you. I appreciate it. I'm so excited. And it's growing pretty quickly since then. I'm very glad I hit 1,000 subscribers. That's been like a goal of mine. So I'm happy. Um, but yeah, so we're just making breakfast, meal prepping, and I am going over um my animal base. So one second. Did any of y'all ever keep these little like soup containers when you get food to go? I'm going to. Ah! Oh, you also miss me getting popped in the neck with bacon grease. But hey, you can always go back and rewatch that. um, so I cooked up a pound of bacon. This is a pound of 90% lean ground beef that I got on sale at Walmart today. Let me wash my hands real quick. Okay, so anyway, animal based is just at least a minimum of 80% of the foods that I eat, I try to do. My goal is that at least 80% of everything that goes in my mouth each day is carnivore. And then the other 20% can, but does not have to be, essentially whatever I want. So I tried to keep it keto vegetables, low carb food items. But you know what? Sometimes I have coworkers that bring in breakfast tacos or vendors. They bring in breakfast tacos or cookies. Now, before I was having maybe just a little bit, maybe 2 or 3 cookies along with a kolache that morning, a um, donut. Like I was having some of everything, but now since I have this mindset of I'm not breaking my diet, I'm not cheating. It's okay if I have this one. So make sure the one counts. I feel like I'm gonna season this by the way with this seasoning. I got it in Mexico. This stuff is amazing. It smells like steak, like what you imagine a steak looks like, smells like. Um, so now I feel like when I do indulge, it's like, okay, I'm allowed to have this much. That's me being responsible. It's not cheating. I don't feel guilty. I don't feel like I have to go over the rails with it. And I feel like, I'm sorry, for some reason that season always makes me sneeze and cough. I don't feel like I'm having to go off the rails. I don't feel like it's like forbidden anymore. And I feel like when I get to have these things, okay, what's realistically in my 20% and which am I going to enjoy more? Like, let me be more selective. It's not just oh, well, I already had the taco. Let me have a kolache, a donut, go get a burger with a large fry. And oddly enough, it makes me feel a lot more in control um, doing animal based. So, oh my God, this smells so good. Something I have recently realized is that I don't have food noise anymore. Um, and I've been really waiting to do this live to talk about it. I think it honestly has everything to do with. Thanks, son. When you meal prep, do you get where you don't want the food you prep? Yes. By day 2, I'd be wanting something else, so I only prep enough for 2 days. That's a good idea. But what you can also do, I probably should have clicked on that one first. So you can prep only 2 days at a time, or prep 2 to 3 different options. So that's something I have definitely come across before. And I do. It happens. Sometimes So I meal prep my breakfast, my lunch, and my dinner. I take all 3 meals with me to work every single day. I'm there 11 hours of the day. I'm not working 11-hour days, but I'm usually there between 10 and 11 hours a day. So I have my breakfast, my lunch, and my dinner during the time between the time that I left for work, between the time I get home from work. So I pack all three. What I'll do sometimes is I'll rotate. So if I have the same exact thing for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, like the same breakfast for every day, one of each meal for all 5 days, what I will do is sometimes I'll rotate which meal I eat for what. Like this week, I had some of my dinners for my lunches. I didn't prep breakfast, which is why we're doing this because that is a major no-no for me. We learned this week. Um, is it gonna fit? Maybe we might be able to do this. Um, but anyway, try rotating them or make a couple different options. I will sometimes do um, two different breakfasts. I might do. They might both be scrambles, but one might have like spinach and tomatoes. One might just be a meat lovers. You know what I mean? Or I might put bacon and sausage on the side versus mixed in, or I'll use different seasonings. Sometimes it's just a matter of like using this same stuff, but then like adding different seasonings in each bowl. You know what I mean? Like how some people will take ground beef, they'll make a big batch of ground beef or chicken, keep it in the fridge, just salt and peppered, and then when it's time to heat it up for their meal, they'll add a different flavor palette to it, like add upon it. You can always do that too. But I definitely know what you mean about getting flavor fatigue on foods. So this is gonna drive me nuts. I'm not having one on one pan. So what was I explaining? Oh, oh, I don't have food waste. Um, yeah, I've been waiting to explain, like, talk to you guys about not having food noise since probably about 2 weeks. I realized I don't have food noise anymore. And I'm sorry, I am almost entirely sure it's because of the animal based. Although you can say my diet is restrictive, I don't feel restricted doing animal based how I'm doing it. Um, and it's working. I'm towards the end of the video. Actually, I need to tell y'all how much weight we've lost this week because I'm really excited. Um, God is so good because He delivered that news to me today too, so I'm very happy. But animal based just gives me that little bit of leeway to where I don't feel like I'm cheating, and it kind of helps me be mindful without feeling like I'm under pressure. So I know like by making a carnivore breakfast, that means that I can have maybe a little bit of vegetable with my lunch and dinner. Or maybe I can make a big salad for my lunch and then have a carnivore breakfast and a carnivore dinner. Or maybe if I want to do this, but then my coworker makes salsa and someone brings in chips. If the rest of my meals for the day are essentially carnivore, I could have some of those chips with that salsa. You know, I don't have to take a 15-minute break to go down the street to Kroger to get chicharrones. I can enjoy those tortilla chips. And I just like, I love it. I love animal based. Um, I just think if you're someone that struggles with, this is a half cup measure, by the way, I'm just trying to see how much fits in each. Again, this is a pound of ground beef and a pound of bacon. If you're someone that struggles with binge eating like I have since I was 7 years old, um, then I feel like silencing the food noise with animal based is definitely worth a shot. I think everybody should try animal based, unless you have some type of dietary need. But even if you just tried low carb keto, like it's just amazing. So, 1 second. I have some topics I want to talk about written down. So I didn't notice you guys were commenting at first. Can I just say I love Chat GPT, by the way, because I get so nervous and I start fumbling with words so bad or like trying to get organized. Sometimes I'll just like put in all my ideas to Chat GPT and she talks to me like she knows me. And I've had to let go of the fact that that freaks me out. Like I named her. Her name is Charlotte. But Like we literally have whole conversations sometimes, and it kind of helps me work through my thoughts. Okay, so no food noise. Actually, let's go over the questions. Living my best life. I don't know how to pull questions from that video and pin them to this live, so I just like printed them, and then I left them on my printer at work today and had to go another 10 minutes back to work. And that threw my night off by oddly enough about 40 minutes. So, living my best life. I would like to know how you lost 120 pounds last time because you're going to lose 150 pounds this time. Congratulations. Okay, so I will cliff notes it again. Just because I know I was really talking to myself that first portion, and that's okay. I do that a lot. Um, I read a book. I don't know what it's called. It was yellow. This is back in 2013. And the gentleman talks about how he grew up eating, he's from the Midwest America. He grew up eating fluffernutters, which is peanut butter, and marshmallow fluff sandwiches, which I'm not going to lie, I would try. I'm not a big marshmallow person, but I would try that just to say I tried it. I mean, honestly, you could put peanut butter and just put anything. I'd love it, but that just sounds so interesting. Oddly enough, I haven't tried it in the 13 years since I read that book. But um, he didn't just talk about how like all his health issues that he had, and how doing counting carbs and staying below 20 carbs helped him get healthy. He also put in a lot of case studies. I can't remember if he was a doctor or not, but he put in a lot of case studies of people and their stories, and it was just miraculous how much weight these people were losing so fast. Now, mind you, I had never heard of doing low carb at that point, I don't think, but I got fat. Actually, I haven't even said this yet. One of the things that I really binged on, it's when I realized it's the one thing I can remember always binging on. The 50 cent back in the day, and then eventually $1 full sliced wheat loaf from Safeway, a jar of strawberry Smucker's preserves, and about half a tub of I can't believe it's not butter. And when I say I would sit there, I'd put 2 pieces of toast in, I would watch it. I would wait for that toast to pop. I'd have my next two. I think there's a hole in my screen because I have gnats now and they weren't here an hour ago. That's gonna drive me absolutely nuts. I would sit there and have 2 pieces of bread ready for when those 2 slices of toast came out. And I'd put those in, pop it down, and while those 2 slices were toasting, I'd put a thick layer of I can't believe it's not butter on, and a thick layer of Smoker's jam. I would sit there with the toaster in front of me and eat them. And I timed it perfectly. Once that first batch was done, I could butter and eat it. I had the last bite when the next one was popping up and it was done. I mean, I'd go through the entire loaf. To this day, I probably could not have that combination because I probably would still eat the whole loaf. Um, so I never thought about cutting out carbs. Everybody always says it's calories, calories, calories. I grew up trying to eat celery because counting calories was the thing. It just didn't work for me. So when I finally read that book, I went home. I told my mom, I was like, hey, I read this book. We're doing this. She's like, I don't think so. And I was like, well, tell me what you want to keep. Everything else is going to go. And I went through that kitchen because I've been the cook in the house since I was an older kid, probably middle school. It's also just a passion of mine, as you can tell. So I went through, I got rid of majority of the carbs in the house, and I stuck to it. The next day, I can't remember if I was working at that point or not. I don't think I was because I started losing weight before I started working. So I don't remember how I had the money to go get groceries because we really didn't have it like that when I was a kid, even as a young adult. I remember going to the store. This is going to stick, isn't it? Yeah, it is. Next week's going to be fun for dishes. I went to the store. I got eggs. I got chicken breasts because that was what was on sale. I also wasn't very up to date on the low fat either. Um, I remember I stopped drinking regular milk because I found a cup of milk has 13 grams of sugar in it. And I was like, why? They eat grass. So that's when I switched to almond milk all those years ago. To this day, I still prefer almond milk um, as a result of my diet history. But yeah, I started out with, I think, spinach because that was the green that like everybody talked about, you know. But as I really got into it and I was really starting to like enjoy eating healthier food and I wanted to find things that had higher vitamins and I was really like learning to love my body and nourish my body, I went to Power Greens, which is baby kale, baby chard, and baby spinach. And to this to this day, that is my favorite. That one looks super low. That is my favorite greens blend. If I ever see it on a menu somewhere or at a store somewhere, I best believe it will be on my plate or in my cart. Does that look good? Good enough. So, sorry. Y'all get to see all the stupid faces I make when I'm by myself. So anyway, I did that, and every day for breakfast I had 2 whole eggs with 1 extra egg white, half a cup of cottage cheese, and a big old handful of Power Greens with a light dressing. I have a feeling I need more seasoning. And that was my breakfast. And then I make little snack packs, but really, a lot of the times it would end up being like a lunch. And then I just have, if I was at the Mongolian restaurant, like where they cook it on the big griddles with the chopsticks in the mall, I just have them hibachi me up some meat and veggies with no sauce. Or if I was at the salad restaurant I worked at, I would do, I just make a big old salad with no carbs on it. I'm big. Oh, I fell in love with goat cheese at that restaurant. It was amazing. This is mild cheddar. I prefer sharp cheddar, but that's what I have left over. So, and yeah, and then dinners were usually, um, I had a salad with every meal essentially. I also just love salads. It wasn't like I was not miserable losing that weight. I really enjoyed it. There was no point in my mind. I had just flipped the switch of like, I don't need carbs. I felt so amazing. I was definitely in ketosis. I think I cheated a little bit 3 or 4 times that entire 10 months. That is a lot of cheese on one. Um, like I just loved it. It wasn't something that I was forcing myself to do. I was just finally discovering something that made me feel good and I enjoyed. And I love salad. So I had a salad and cottage cheese with most of my meals for most of that 10 months. And then dinner was usually a protein, a salad, and some cottage cheese. And actually, something I haven't said yet is my desserts. When I had a sweet tooth, I would take cottage cheese, and you might think this is gross. I know. I used to think my mom was gross when she did this when I was a kid, and apples and trees. I would take half a cup of cottage cheese. I'd add like a teaspoon or two of mayonnaise for like a salty creaminess. You know what I mean? And then I would do like half a cup to a cup of frozen strawberries. And what it is I'd put the frozen strawberries on the cottage cheese because they were never cut up strawberries because I was broke. So the whole ones for some reason were cheaper. Um, I'd cut them up. I mean, I'd put them on the cottage cheese and I would let them sit there while I ate my dinner. So the strawberries got just a little defrosted. I could go for that right now. I don't think I have any frozen fruit, but so my oven's been preheated to 400. These are probably gonna stick. I have nothing to grease the sides of this glass with, so okay. Actually, let me cover it with hot foil, just because I don't do brown eggs. I don't like my eggs being burnt at all. And I guarantee these will get if I have. So I don't even know how to do this. Oh, we're gonna learn together. Why not? So yeah. I don't know what the name of the book is. It is something that I have tried to find for years. I remembered what the book was called probably for the first 6 months of me losing weight because of that book. I cannot find it. It was yellow. I want to say it was a hardcover. I know they come in different options. I was at Barnes and Noble. It was 2013. It was like beginning of October. It was not a brand new book. It was written by a man, and he talks about fluffernutters. Like these are just the main points that I can remember. I have no clue what the name of it was, but the title has to the title has to tell you something about losing weight because I remember that's why I picked it up. But I would love to buy that book and like share it with people. Sorry if you can't hear me over the foil. Okay, I'm over it. Good enough. I'm getting frustrated. Don't touch, don't touch. Oi, oi. I don't think I should have done that, but we did. All right. So, um, let's see. Yeah, I don't know what the name of the book is, but if anybody sees this video after the fact and can tell me what it is, please let me know. I don't know if you read this book, The Obesity Code and the Hunger Code by Dr. Jason Fung. I love him. I have Obesity Code. I think I might be like 2/3 the way through it. What time is it actually? Because I want to time this. 7:54. Wow, I've been talking. Wow. Why am I surprised? I talk a lot. Um, I know he just came out with the Hunger Code. I want to finish Obesity Code first, and then I think I will think about buying the Hunger Code. I'd like to see some people's reviews. I know. Oh, y'all need to check out. Okay, this is ADHD. You see how I'm bouncing all over the place. Dr. Jason Fung and Thomas DeLauer just did a podcast episode. I want to say it was like an hour and a half. I know it was a very long podcast. Um, I will say it wasn't the vibe I thought I'd get from the two of them. I think they have kind of a little bit of a not clashing, like conflicting, like not like conflict, but I think in a way their conversation flow patterns don't mesh as naturally, if that makes sense. But it was still very insightful and I enjoyed it. He talked about his three golden rules, I think he calls it, in the Hunger Code. Um, I was working, so I didn't pay too much attention, but I will definitely be rereading that. Oh, you tried goat cheese with blue cheese with blueberries on it? So good, so good. Ooh, especially if you like whip some goat cheese like into some cottage cheese. Oh, I think I'm just hungry. I just have a sweet tooth. Um, I don't remember what I was talking about. So let's see. That book. This is my life all day, every day, you guys. I could see squirrel, something shiny. We always say, my best friend and I always say we have the attention spans of gnats. Okay, let me go to the next question from Rebecca McTaggart 394. Do you find at work or with friends that you have a harder time to stay on track? I know I sometimes do, and don't want people to know that I'm on a special food plan, i.e., carnivore, because of some negative responses. Um, yes, I do. Now that I've switched to animal based, no, I don't, because I'm allowed that 20%, so I no longer struggle with um like crippling temptation to have the things. I know I can, so it almost makes me not want them as much. And it also just makes me a little more tactful about which ones I do choose to fit in that 20%. But I sorry. But as far as like conversations, so when I first went carnivore, I was at this job. I was new. I had been there less than a month. I started on December 11th, 2023. I went carnivore January 1st, 2024. And I remember the first time kind of like passively, like kind of half-assedly telling them I was doing carnivore. We had a pizza lunch for our team, just to like get to know each other because there was a few of us that were new. And I was like, okay, well, I'm not going to have any pizza, but I will make my own pizza the night before. And I actually let a couple people try it, and one girl loved it so much she wanted the recipe. And it was my first meal prep video, I think, my first recipe video on this channel. And I just so I had actually made a recipe. So I wrote it down for her and gave it to her because she really liked it. But that was my first time kind of explaining to them. And then I feel like the first time is the hardest. Rihanna said that after the whole Chris Brown thing. But ever since I heard that, I realized, and I'm constantly being reminded that that is so true in every aspect of life, whether it's good or bad. The first time you lie to someone is the hardest. The first time you say I love you is the hardest. Um, the first time you tell a lie, the first time you do something wrong, the first time um, you take that risk of helping someone out. I mean, really just the first time's the hardest because it's unfamiliar territory. So I found that the more I just kind of say it, and if I act like it's nothing, like, oh yeah, I eat more along a carnivore diet. I don't um I also like to use kind of lax verbiage. I don't say, oh, I'm a strict carnivore. But again, the more you say it, the more you'll get used to people's responses. And if people, another thing is that whenever people have had like a negative reaction to me doing keto or carnivore, I say, really, I feel amazing. My health has improved so much since starting this. It's not even funny. And then, especially if you just like naturally point out two or three benefits that you've had, I don't have cravings anymore. My sleep is improved. I, uh, I'm not hungry all the time anymore. Like just a couple of things that will hit home. Usually it'll twist people, it'll kind of like make them want to open their mind a little bit. That's how I feel. Maybe I just see what I want to see. That's also very plausible with me. Um, but yeah, I think that's about it. Y'all have any more questions before I head out? We have been talking for an hour. That's crazy, y'all. Like I knew I could talk, but boy, and I haven't had caffeine since this morning. I only had one cup of coffee. I think it's because I'm a little nervous. But before I go, I do want to ask you guys some questions. Um, would y'all like to do more lives? So I'm meal prepping for my job. I sell plates at work to make extra money. My goal is really just um, to make enough to cover the cost of their meal prep, the cost of my meal preps, uh, which is not that much. Typically, it's about 40 to $50 a week, if that. A lot of times, I'm eating the proteins that I meal prep for them, so I'm getting it in bulk, so it's usually cheaper. But ideally, out of like what I take home from minus the cost, I would like it to cover my meal prep and then like maybe gas and maybe like one lunch out or something. But like right now, I'm basically breaking even with it, including my meal preps. Um, so on Sundays after church, I go to my parents' house. They live about 30 minutes from me, about 20 minutes, 15 minutes from my church. And they have a giant kitchen. It's a lot easier for me to meal prep 40, 50 meals um, in their kitchen. So I'm thinking if we wanted to do like maybe I can meal prep one of my meals, maybe once or twice a month on a Friday after work like this, and do a live. We can pick a subject, we can do a poll or something and see like what subject do we want to talk about. Maybe we can, I can have like people come in because I know you can do guests on here. We'll learn how to do that together because I am a newbie. I think this is like my third live I've ever done on my own. But I do enjoy it. It was fun. So let me know down below. You don't have to do it now. I'm probably also going to do a poll on the community page just to see if you guys would be interested in doing that. I'd probably start out with once a month just because I have a really bad habit of overloading myself. I get so excited and so motivated and so amped up that I just go full speed ahead and I take on too much and I burn out. So I'm really learning to rein back a little bit. Um, we didn't talk much about mental health. Um, we'll probably have to do another live for mental health today. I think I kind of covered the things I really wanted to talk about, which is how I lost 150 pounds a decade ago, um, how my food addiction started. Anybody, for everybody that came later, because really I was talking to myself for like the first half hour. Go back. If this, I think, will be live on my channel or something like that to replay. I think it automatically posts in 24 hours. So come back tomorrow and check that out. In the beginning, I started out by going over like where my food addiction started. Because I can remember the minute. I can remember the bite and the sensation in my body. I can remember what I saw. I can put myself back in that moment to the first time when food made everything go away. Um, so go check that out, because I think if more of us can identify where the root of our food addiction is, I think identifying is the first step to healing. Um, and just searching yourself and trying to remember why you became how you are, because then you can start working on healing that root. So yeah. Anyway, y'all, what else do I have anything in here? mm, how do y'all feel with food noise? I know carnivore helps get rid of food noise. Is anybody else doing animal based or keto, and have you found it made your food noise go away? Animal based for me has made my food noise go away to the point where sometimes I forget to eat. And it's not, oh, we still gotta go over my weight. I almost forgot. Um, I see, ADHD. What was I talking about? Shit. Mm, food noise. I was talking about food noise. Animal based. Anyway, animal based made my food noise go. Oh, I'll forget to eat sometimes. But it's not that I forget to eat in the day. It's just I had my lunch. I was full, and I haven't thought about food until I go to bed and be like, oh, I didn't eat anything else today. Huh. Like after that. Normally I'd be like, oh, okay, I don't want to go home and get hungry. I need to eat something or make sure that I have something ready and available. So just in case I get hungry. And then I think about it a lot, and then I make myself hungry. I've had so little food noise lately that I don't think about it. So I'm naturally eating less. So this week, this will be the last thing we talk about. This week, I walked twice. Wednesday, I did not end up walking because I forgot I had Bible study that night. Yesterday, I did not end up walking because I spent 2 hours going to 3 different grocery stores to get the groceries, majority of the grocery stores, and groceries that I needed for the meal preps that I will be doing tomorrow, because I have a bridal thing to work on for my friend on Sunday, so I won't be meal prepping that day. Um, and then today I was running around getting the last grocery store pickup, Sam's Club by my house. The worst drive up and go. The worst. I don't know why I ever even try to do it. I'd rather just go in and get it myself. Um, but yeah. Uh, and then I literally got out the shower 10 minutes before I had to do these live, could not figure out how to get to work. So so I only walked Monday and Tuesday. Tomorrow I am going for a walk out in Baytown. I live in Houston, so I'm going to Baytown. I'm going to this place. I won't say where, because technically this is live, even though there's only 3 people watching. Um, but I will be going to Baytown with my friend who lives out in Liberty. We work together, and we're gonna go for a 4 or 5 mile walk. So I will be making sure that I stretch in the morning. I will probably stretch before bed tonight too, once we get off of here. And then we're gonna go somewhere and like get a big salad for our basically our breakfast, because we're going at 8 a.m. to walk. We'll probably eat at 10, and then I'll shoot way out of town to where my parents are, their house is, and meal prep for probably another 7 hours. So but I will be walking tomorrow, and I am excited. I am still wanting to walk. I was a little disappointed these past couple days I didn't get to go walk again. So let's go over my weight. Monday morning, I stepped on the scale. I was a little over 296. This morning, I stepped on the scale. I am 286. What timing? This morning, I stepped on the scale, and I am 286 point something. I think I lost 10.2 pounds, because I think I was 296.8, and I think I'm 286.6. But I lost 10 pounds in a week, y'all. Granted, the first 7 pounds was overnight. That first night, I went for a walk. I hit my water. I stuck to my diet. Shedded water weight from drinking alcohol over the weekend. I know that was a big hurdle, but You have to remember, if we count the pounds of water weight, if we count the pounds when you don't have a movement in the morning, then you should also count those pounds when they fall off. It's not fair if we only count, damn, I gained 5 pounds this weekend. But then when you lose 5 pounds in 2 days at the beginning of the next week, oh, well, that's just water weight. Yeah, it was just water weight when you put it on too. But it sure hurts your feelings. So let it fix your feelings when you lose it. So I'm doing that. And I feel like I'm really trying to hold on to not getting back into the 90s. I feel like if I can get to 285, like that's going to give me just that kiss of success where it's like I'm already hungry to keep pushing. So I'm excited, you guys. I will be drinking on Sunday. It is a brunch. They've already told me there's gonna be liquor, beer, wine, wedding planning, gourmet food. So I'm gonna go find me. Kroger has some low carb wine I saw. I think it's zero point 0.6 to 1.5 grams of carbs per 5 ounce glass. So I'm like, I can totally do that. That's nothing. Um, so I think I'm going to bring that for myself just to help me stay a little bit more on track. See, I'm being mindful. But yeah. Thank you. Thank you, country girl. I appreciate it. I'm trying. I'm trying. I'm starting to feel it too. I was at work today and I was like, oh, I'm liking my face a little bit more. Like it's not a drastic change, but there's just a little bit of a change. And then I can feel it like when I turn to the side. You probably can't tell that much because y'all don't really see my full body that often. But like my stomach isn't sticking out as far and my bra is getting loose around the band. Like I usually cannot do this with my bra. My bra is usually like tight. So I'm actually gonna have to go down in bra band size pretty soon, probably another 10 pounds. But yeah. Anyway, guys, I have talked your head off enough. A quick recap of what I cooked. It was a pound of bacon, a pound of 90% lean ground beef that I got at Walmart for $5. So that's why it's so lean. And that way I can keep a little bit more of the bacon grease in it. 17 eggs, half a container of 1% cottage cheese, and half a quart. What is this? A quart technically? Yeah, a half a quart of egg whites. And then the only seasoning I did was a little bit of, that was probably a quarter to a third of a cup realistically of cheese on each one. And it's mild cheddar. And then we only season it with black pepper and this fajita grill sazonador para carnes el pariente el sazon del norte. I don't speak Spanish, but I got this in Mexico. It's delicious. If you ever go to Mexico and you see this at the store, get it. Like it literally makes everything taste like steak. Like that. Sees that taste you like from steak besides like the cow part. Tastes just like that. Smells just like it too. But all right, y'all. I love you guys. Thank you so much for coming to see today's video. Leave questions, comments down below. Let me know what you think about if we did like maybe once a month to start out some like cook with me videos. We'll do like one recipe, one day's meal or one like meal prep for the week, like a breakfast, a lunch, or a dinner. And we can like kind of pick a topic together and do lives together. So y'all let me know down below. Keep an eye out for the polls. And I will see y'all next week because I don't think I'll be posting this weekend. I love you guys. I'm so grateful that we made it to 1,000. Thank you so much to all your support, for sharing, for liking, for commenting, and for just sticking with me while I try to get this right because I know it's been a hell of a roller coaster. So thank you guys. I love you and I'll see y'all soon. Bye.